It's day 43 and today I'm repeating something I did on day 15 but with some differences. I've traced some circles using Derwent InkTense pencils onto my warp, and I'm going to spray them with water. This is not Avon Skin So Soft, this is water. I'm going to spray them with water and then I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to weave into that afterwards. The differences are that it's a very different warp. Last time I did this, it was a much finer warp in cotton. This is a warp in wool. It's got 20 ends per inch, whereas the cotton had 36. Also, I've used new colours. I've used these colours which aren't in my big box of 72. They're relatively new. Nightshade, Mango and Jungle Green. I've used those. I've also put a little bit more on than I did on the cotton warp. I've gone in a bit harder with the pencils. And the other difference is that the weave structure I'm going to be using once it's dry is hopsack and not plain weave. So it might make a difference visibly to that. So that's what I'm going to do. So now is when I spray the water on. If you're not familiar with InkTense pencils, they're from Derwent and they will spread a little bit when I add the water, which is what I'm looking for. It's an interesting mixture of colours. Interesting to see what's going to happen at the junctions. I'm looking for the colours to spread. Once they are dry, they are colour fast. You could wash it. They are permanent because they are ink. They are InkTense pencils. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how different it is. So let's have a go. Let's have a bit of a spray. I can see the colours brightening up a little bit, becoming a little bit more intense. You can see the difference between the bottom of this purple ring and the top where I haven't sprayed yet. I should really have moved my wool mat from underneath. There's not much water getting through. Most of it is being caught on my hand behind. Good soaking. I do want it to dry. I do want to carry on weaving on that this evening. So I'm going to have to attack it with a hairdryer, which I will do shortly. A bit more on this side. Tricky. Swap hands. There we are. You can see it spreading a little bit. Not sure how well you can see it on there. The yellow has spread significantly. Let's give it more spray. It's quite hard to draw a circle, especially these side bits on the warp because the threads are going that way. But there we are, that's done. So, oh look, the purple is spreading immensely. It's all coming down here. That's okay. And as I thought, where the crossover is with the purple, something's gone a bit browny, a bit muddy. That's fine. Gosh, the colour's crept all the way down into the top of this weave. I did rather overdo it with the spray. But I'm going to get the hairdryer out now and I'll be back. I feel a bit like Lacey Walker of Rebel Unicorn Crafts, who is a watercolour. Well, I follow her for her watercolour tutorials. And as she says, you've got to let it dry or make it dry. And then she does a little waggle dance with her head. That's pretty much dry now, so I'm going to start weaving into it. What has happened this time is because I added more water, it has seeped up and down the warp threads. It's soaked that way more than that way because they aren't so densely packed, so that they're not touching each other so much. So the colour hasn't spread this way, but it has spread that way. That's okay. And when I come to weave it, we'll see what it looks like. And I will redefine the circles with a little line of stitch in each colour. So I'll crack on and weave for a bit. I'm cracking on with the weaving here. The colours are quite mixed in, I'm just about hitting the bottom of the purple circle. I can see the bottom of the yellow circle here, the bottom of the green circle here, but there's a lot of spreading. I don't mind that. I think it's probably just because I was rather aggressive with the water. Maybe I'll try it again, be less aggressive with the water. We'll see how it goes. But what I do intend to do is redefine the circles with some stitching once I've woven up all the way through it. We'll see what that looks like. Losing the light here. I don't want to have to turn the overhead lights on in the studio because it will change what it looks like on your screen. But we'll weave on and I'll come back in a little while. Well, I've got pretty much cleared the top of the purple circle. I'll just weave on a little bit more. There's still some purple dye or pencil on the wall up there a little bit. Just go on a tiny bit more. It's beginning to get a bit darker, but I think the camera is coping. So let's have a look. There's still some purple there. If I do that, you'll be able to see a bit better. Well, we can see the purple circle. We can see the yellow circle. The green circle is a lot harder to see, but it's there. So what have I learned? I've learned that I have sprayed this one much too much with water. I think I may very well have another go, maybe tomorrow, and do exactly the same, but this time only spray it really lightly, just enough for the colour to become a little bit more intense. I am going to trace around those circles again. So there's I'll trace around the purple one. I will use a friction pen, which is heat erasable, to draw the circle. And then I will stitch around that with a thin line, maybe a back stitch, something like that. And then I'll iron away the friction pen line. So that's the purple, that's the green size, was that one. So it's souped right, you can see green all the way across there. And this one was the yellow circle. But I'm going to do that once it's off the loom. Several reasons. Well, the main reason is that I have wound this fabric onto my front beam, so I can't really get behind the bottom of the circles for stitching. And stitching on the loom is okay because it keeps it nice and tense. It's like using an embroidery frame, but you can't flip it to see what's going on the back. You can't easily finish your threads off on the back. So I will do the stitching once it's off the loom. So that's it for today.